Okay, next question. Let's say this is a question based on efficiency and man days together. So the question is like A is thrice as fast as C. A is thrice as fast as C and was able to complete the work in 40 days less than C. So there are two people here, A and C. A is 3 times as fast as C. That is, if C can eat 1 chocolate per day, A can eat 3 chocolates per day. Or in other words, if C can complete a work in 3 days, A will complete in 1/3 the time, which is 1/3 the time, 1 day. So we already saw that the men and days are inversely proportional. Men and days are inversely proportional. So if A is more efficient, if the number of days are in ratio 1:3, see the number of days are in ratio 1:3, the efficiency will be ratio 3:1. So we just saw the relation earlier in man days concept, so we will be using this kind of relation to obtain the answer here. So A is thrice as fast as C and was able to complete the work in 40 days less than that of C. If both of them were working together, how many days would they take to finish the work? To finish the job. See, in the question they give like A will take 40 days. So A will take 40 days less than C to finish the job. So if C takes n days, let's say C takes n days, A will take 40 days less than n. So n minus 40. N minus 40 days. Now if we go by the normal method, we will have to take the LCM of n minus 40 and n, find the number of chocolates. That will become a bit difficult. So to make our problem easier, what we will do is that we will see the ratio of the efficiency. So efficiency are in ratio. Efficiency of A is to B are in ratio 3:1. See, A is 3 times as fast as C. So A is 3 times as fast as C. Now one more way of doing is, I can consider that C will eat 1 chocolate per day, A will eat 3 chocolates per day. C will eat 1 chocolate per day, A will eat 3 chocolates per day. So the total number of chocolates, C will eat 1 chocolate per day. In n days, the total number of chocolates C will eat is n into 1, which is n chocolates. Same way, A will eat 3 chocolates per day. A will eat 3 chocolates per day. To complete all the chocolates, he will take n minus 40 days. To complete all the chocolates, he will take n minus 40 days. So the total number of chocolates will be n minus 40 into 3. N minus 40 into 3. I can say that the total number of chocolates I calculate through C will be same as total number of chocolates I will calculate through A, because that is the total number of chocolates. So n will be equal to 3n minus 120. N will be equal to, so n into 1, n is equal to 3n minus 40 into 3, which is 120. So I will bring all the n to one side, I will get 2n will be equal to 120. N value will be equal to 60. N value will be equal to 60. One way I can do like this. So after finding n value as 60, I can assume that C will complete in 60 days, A will complete in 60 minus 40, 20 days, and proceed with the problem. Or another way of doing is that I can consider that efficiency are in ratio 3:1. I know that the efficiency and the time taken are inversely proportional. So time taken of A is to B will be in ratio 1:3. Time taken will be in ratio 1:3. So I can say that here the time taken is n minus 40 by n. So n minus 40 by n, this will be in ratio 1/3. So if you cross multiply, you will get the same, n into 1, n, 3 into n minus 40, which is 3n minus 120. By solving this, I will get n is equal to 60. N is equal to 60. So whichever method is comfortable for you, you can use it. However, till now we have been seeing this chocolate method alone. So I will recommend you to go in this method. Reason is because if you follow one single method, your speed in that method will increase. So here, using chocolate method also, I found n value as 60. Using this inverse proportionality method also, I found that n value is 60. So after finding n value as 60, I can assume that A will take 60 minus 40, which is 20 days to finish the job, and C will take 60 days to finish the job. So I can say that I will take the LCM of 20 and 60 and find the answer. That is one way of doing. However, for this question, you will not have to find the value of n in the first place. So if you carefully observe, I know the efficiencies are in ratio 1:3. I know that the efficiencies are in ratio 1:3. The total number of chocolates is 1 into n, n. The total number of chocolates is 1 into n, n. If A plus C are together working, they will eat 3 plus 1, 4 chocolates per day. 3 plus 1, 4 chocolates per day. Now the total number of chocolates is n. So the total time taken will be n divided by 4. N divided by 4. Now I will need the value of n. I already found the value of n as 60. So A plus C will be equal to 60 by 4, which is 15 days. So if you observe, this same question can be solved in more than 2 methods. In the first method, what I did was, I assumed that A will eat, I know the efficiencies are in ratio 3:1. So I will assume that A will eat 3 chocolates per day and C will eat 1 chocolate per day. I will try to calculate the total number of chocolates. So according to C, the total number of chocolates will be n into 1, n. According to A, total number of chocolates will be n minus 40 into 3, which is 3n minus 120. So by bringing all the n on one side, numbers on the other side, I will say that I will find out that n is equal to 60. After finding n is equal to 60, you don't have to find the value of this 20 days and 60 days separately. You can directly say that A plus C, if both are working together, they will eat 3 plus 1, 4 chocolates in one day. Then the total time taken by them will be n divided by 4. The total time taken by them will be n divided by 4, which is 60 by 4, 15 days. So if both of them are working together, the answer will get completed in 15 days. This will be your answer. Next question. This question is based on man and days and work concept. It was found that 100 men needed to work 100 men need to work for 120 days. It was found that 100 men need to work for 120 days to complete a work. Initially, it was found that 100 men need to work for 120 days to complete a work. Initially 160 men were employed for the job. Initially 160 men were employed for that job. After 25 days, 40 men were assigned a different project. After 25 days, 40 men were assigned a different project. So among these 160 men, 40 men were assigned a different project. In how many? In how many days the entire project would have got completed? So if you look at this question is not as easy as it looks. Reason is, here there are 3 different problems combined to form one single question. So initially they say that 100 men need to work for 120 days to complete a job. But they are not employing 100 men, they are employing 160 men. They are employing 160 men. So after employing 160 men, all the 160 men do not work. So they initially start working, but after 25 days, 40 men will leave the job. 40 men will leave the job. So after 40 men leave the job, the remaining men should do the rest of the job. The remaining men should do the rest of the job. The question here is that in how many days the entire project will get completed. So I know that man 1 and day 1. If there were 100 men, the work will get completed in 120 days. If there are 100 men, the work will get completed in 120 days. Now if there are 160 men, so I'll call this as man 2. How many days would it take? 160 men, how many days would it take? Now I already know the formula that man into days is a constant, which means M1 D1 will be M2 D2. So I can say that 100 into 120, this will be same as 160 into D2. 160 into D2. So 40th table, this will be 4 times, 3 times, 4th table 1 time, 25 times. So I will get D2 is equal to 75 days. So I will get the value of D2 as 75 by calculating with this formula. M1 D1 will be equal to M2 D2. So once I get the value of D2 as 75 days, half of the problem is completed. Half of the problem is completed. Now what happens is that all these 160 men start working. All these 160 men start working. They work for 25 days. They work for 25 days. So how much is the remaining time required for 160 men? So in the second case, I will consider M1 is equal to 160 men. D1 is equal to. So I know that these 160 men need to work for 75 days to complete the entire work. Now, in 25 days, some people are leaving. In 25 days, some people are leaving, which means 25 days work is completed. So, among these 75 days, 25 days work is completed. So, how many more days will be required? The remaining number of days required will be 75 minus 25, which is 50 days. 50 days. So, this is for the total work we calculated. For 160 men, how many days are required? For the remaining work, for 160 men, 50 days are required. But one small twist here is that the remaining work is not done by 160 men. The remaining work is not done by 160 men. The remaining work is done by 120 men. The remaining work here is done by 120 men. So, how many days will 120 men take to finish the work? I will need to calculate this. How many days will 120 men need to finish the work? So I can say that 160 into 50, so M1 D1 will be equal to M2 D2. So 160 into 50 will be equal to 120 into D2. 120 into D2. Again 40th table 3 times, 4 times. So I will get 500 into 4, 200 divided by 3. 200 divided by 3, which is nothing but 66 2 by 3, which is the value of D2. I will get the value of D2 as 66 2 by 3. 66 2 by 3 days. But the answer is still not over. The question is, in how many days the entire project will get finished? The entire project will get finished. I know that this 160 men will work for 25 days. 160 men will work for 25 days. Remaining 120 men will work for 66 2 by 3 days. So total time required will be 25 plus 66 2 by 3. It will be 25 plus 66 2 by 3. So 91 2 by 3 days. This will be the answer. The total time required will be 91 2 by 3 days. Next question is based on time and work, in which man, days and work, all the three, man, days and work will be involved. So we look at a question based on that. 56 painters take 25 days. 56 painters take 25 days to paint. 56 painters take 25 days to paint 35 buildings. To paint 35 buildings. How many days will 40 painters take? How many days will 40 painters take to paint 75 buildings? So 56 painters take 25 days to paint 35 buildings. How many days will 40 painters take to paint 75 buildings? So this is rather a very direct question. So here I can say that the first case 56 painters are working. So M1 will be 56, D1 will be 25. So 56 painters work for 25 days and W1 will be 35 buildings. So 56 painters work for 25 days to complete 35 buildings. So here the work done is the number of buildings painted. In the second case, M2 is given as 40, D2 is a question they are asking for. D2 is a question they are asking for, and W2 is given as W2 is given as 75 buildings. Work 2 is given as 75 buildings. We know the direct formula here. When man, days and work are given, man into days by work is a constant. Man into days divided by work is a constant, or in other words I can say M1 D1 W1 will be same as M2 D2 and W2. M2 D2 divided by W2. So here 56 into 25 divided by 35. 56 into 25 divided by 35 will be same as 40 into D2 divided by 75. Now I can say that 35, 7th table 5 times, 7th table 8 times, 5th table 1 time, 5th table 5 times, 8 5s are 40. So I will get D2 value, I will get D2 value as 75 itself. I will get the value of D2 as 75 itself. So here if 56 painters can take 25 days to paint 35 buildings, 40 painters will take 75 days to paint 75 buildings. That will be the answer here. Now we saw a question in which we can use the formula directly, but what if there are some twists? What if there are some twists in the question? So we will see how to do that. So here in the same question, 56 painters take 25 days to paint 35 buildings. How many days will 40 painters take to paint 75 buildings? So instead of giving the question directly like this, "56 painters take 25 days to paint 35 buildings. How many days will 40 painters take? Sorry, how many buildings will 40 40 painters paint in 20% more number of more number of days, or in other words, I can change this 40 to, I can change this 40 to say 50. So 56 painters take 25 days to paint 35 buildings. 56 painters will take 25 days to paint 35 buildings. How many buildings will 50 painters paint in 20% more number of days? In 20% more number of days. Here the question is given relatively. Here the question is given relatively. So M1 will be equal to 56, M2 will be 50. D1 will be 25, D2 will be 20% more number of days. So 20% more than 25. So 10% of 25 is 2.5, 20% of 25 will be 5. So 25 plus 5, which is 30. Next, W1 is given as 35 buildings. W2 is the value that we will need to find. So I can say that man 1 into days 1 by W1. M1 D1 by W1 will be same as M2 D2 by W2. In this case, 56 into 25 by 35. 56 into 25 by 35. 56 is the M1 value, D1 value and W1 value. Will be same as 50 into 30 divided by the unknown number. The unknown number I will consider it as W2 itself. Same with 35, 7th table 5 times, 5th table 5 times, 7th table 8 times. So I will get 8 into 5, 5th table 6 times, 2nd table 3 times, 2nd table 4 times. So I will get W2 is equal to 50 divided by 4, or in other words 12.5. So here I will get the work done by 50 painters in 30 days. The work done by 50 painters in 30 days will be 12.5 building here. So 50 into 3, here it is 50 into 3 by 4. So 150 divided by 4, which is 37.5 buildings. 37.5 buildings. So sometimes you will be getting questions based on like this also, where the work done will be in decimal points, and in some other cases you will be getting questions where the work done will be given in percentage. We will look at a question based on that later. Next, a contractor, let's say a contractor takes up a contract. A contractor takes up a contract to be completed in 200 days. A contractor takes up a contract to be completed in 200 days. He initially employs 60 men on the job. After 120 days, he found that only 40% of the work, was completed. So you see here 200 days he took. So the total contract time is 200 days, which means in 100 days itself half of the work should get completed. In 200 days the complete work should be finished, means in 100 days, half of 200, 100 days, 50% of the work at least should be completed. But here they say that in 120 days itself only 40% was completed. How many more men should be employed? Employed from the 121st day, so that the work will get completed in 200 days. The contract period is only 200 days. So there is no limit on how many people you can employ. You can employ any number of people. But the question is, here after 120 days only 40% is completed. Now I have to employ some extra people. So how many extra people I should employ? How many extra people I should employ so that the work will get completed in exactly 200 days. That is, within the contract period I can finish the work. So here I can say that 200 days is the total time. 200 days is the total time. Now he initially employs 60 men on the job. So M1 is 60. M1 is 60. M1 is 60 men. He initially employs 60 men on the job. After 120 days, he finds that 40% is finished. So day 1, D1 is 120, because 60 men are working for 120 days. 60 men are working for 120 days to finish 40% work. So M1 will be 60, D1 will be 120, and W1 will be equal to 40% or 40. I'll just take it as 40 here. So 60 men working for 120 days can finish 40% work. Now from the 121st day some extra men should be working. You see here, if I consider this is the work, so 0 days, 200 days. In 120 days, for all these 120 days the number of people working was 60 only. However, I found that in this 120 days only 40% of the work is completed. Remaining there is 60% work that is need to be completed. So if it goes at this pace, it will definitely take more than 200 days. See, if 60% are working in 120 days, 40%, then 120 into 240 days, there will be only 80% work completed, which means I must employ some extra people so that the work should get completed at this point. If the work should get completed at this point, I should employ some extra people. So here I know that there will obviously be these 60 people, some plus some extra people. Some extra people will be there. So how many extra people are there? This is the question given. The question given is how many extra people should be employed. So M2 I can consider it as 60 plus extra. 60 plus extra number of people. So M2 will be equal to 60 plus extra number of people, we consider it as N. 60 plus N. So after 120 days, he found that 40% is completed. If 40% is completed, the remaining work will be 60%. 100 minus 40, which is 60%. The remaining work, W2 will be equal to 60%. Now, if 60 plus N people can complete 60% of the work, in how many days they will need to complete? So in 120 days, 40% is done. In 200 days, remaining 60% is done. So 120 to 200, there are 80 days in between. There are 80 days. So D2 will be equal to 200 minus 120, which is 80. D2 will be equal to 80. Now I can say that M1, D1, W1 will be same as M2, D2, W2. One common mistake which everyone does in this type of question is that they will consider M1 is 260, D1 is 200 and W1 is all the 100%, but that is not true. So this is how you should be doing it. So M1 into D1 by W1 will be same as M2 D2 by W2. In this case it is 60 into 120 divided by 40. This will be same as 60 plus N into 80 divided by 60. 60 plus N into 80 divided by 60. So what I can do is that 40th table 1 time, 40th table 3 times. So 0, 0 I will cancel. Second table 3 times, second table 4 times. Again fourth table 1 time, fourth table 15 times. So I will get 60 plus N in one side. I will bring that 3 to the numerator here. So I will be getting 60 plus N will be equal to, so 15 into 3 into 3. 15 into 3 into 3. So 60 plus N will be equal to 15 3s are 45, 45 3s are 135. So I will get N value will be equal to 135 minus 60, which is nothing but 75. So the value of N will be 75, which means that for the question, how many more people should be employed? The number of extra people that should be employed is 75 extra people.